welcome back, and it has been a week for sure. On Monday, the dog went in to get spayed. She did great, but she's running around with the cone of shame, making all of our shins bleed as she runs into us. The bunny, Colma, hasn't been eating very well for the past week or so, so she went in yesterday for some dental work. She had some sharp points on her teeth that could have been causing irritation on her tongue. But it takes a while for anesthesia to wear off on bunnies. Their metabolism is very different from the rest of other animals. So we've been counting grams, and she's slowly recovering, but not as quickly as I would like. And so that's been a bit stressful. And when it rains, it pours. Last week, the cats dug up 3 different wild rabbit nests and killed a bunch of them. But there were 3 survivors, and we've been trying our best to keep those 3 alive. One of them had a huge gash across its stomach, and he held on for as long as he could, but he ultimately passed, which is not unexpected when you have a large cat scratch across your stomach and you only weigh 40 grams. Life is tough. The other 2 are hanging on by a thread, but I've been counting tenths of milliliters and grams and all these things to try and keep all the animals alive, and I'm starting to look a little haggard. So Mrs. Usagi told me to just go outside and reset my brain. So I'm going to do that today with this right here. It's already Thursday, so I need a bit of a softball, and I think this LA50 printer is going to be it. This is a serial printer. It is dot matrix, and I got this ultimately with the DEC Rainbow. So that's what we're going to hook it up to. We're going to hook it up to the DEC Rainbow. And cosmetically, it's in pretty excellent shape already. So we don't need to take it completely apart and try to clean up rodent feces like we did in the previous episode. It's already in pretty good shape. I do want to take the covers off of it, take a look inside of it, and get some oil onto all of the slidey bits, because it does look like there's a little bit of surface rust growing in places that could cause it to move erratically. So we're going to take some covers off of it, we're going to try and oil it up, get it working clean, and then we're going to plug it into the DEC Rainbow and just try to print something with it. That's my softball episode. Who knows how it'll go? I hope it goes well. I need a win. So let's just hop to it. This thing is so clean, I genuinely don't think it needs that much work. I'm just going to pop this front cover off by lifting up and then pulling it out. Then I'll get the back cover off by pulling it straight up. It was a little stiff, and I was afraid of breaking the plastic snaps, but it came loose without destruction, thankfully. And you can see even inside it looks good, except for the surface rust on the horizontal bar that the print head slides on. It does just look like surface rust though, so I'm just going to take a Scotch pad and scrub away at it. And sure enough, you can see the rust comes right off, leaving clean metal behind. I'll do the same for this second rail on the back side, but it didn't actually have any rust, it was just filthy is all. After blowing all the dust and rust particles out with the air hose, I want to lube up the rails a little bit. I wasn't sure what the best lubrication for this was, but I'm just going to use some white lithium grease because that's what I had on hand. Then finally, the last piece of the puzzle is a brand new ribbon. And surprisingly, you can still find these on Amazon. Well, I've done, I think, the bare minimum amount of work, so we're just gonna plug the power cord in and flip the switch over here. And I don't have it hooked up to a computer or anything right now, so I don't really know what I'm expecting. Hopefully we'll see some carriage movement, and we'll see ready and power come on. We don't want to see a fault light here, so let's just flip the switch and see what happens. We got the power light. We didn't get the fault light. We don't have a ready light. Oh, well, if I push ready, then we get a ready light. But line feed and form feed don't do anything. I don't know if that is that way because it needs to be plugged into a computer, or because there's no paper in it, or what. I don't know. The electronics seems to be happy, but nothing up here made any movement whatsoever. After I cut the camera off on that previous shot, I went to go flip the power switch off, and I tapped this button on accident and things moved. So I think all the mechanical stuff in here is gated so that nothing moves when the lid is open. So we need to fool it to think the lid is on it. So I'm going to hold this button down while I flip the power switch on, and I think maybe that's going to cause it to come to life. Let's see. Yeah, check it out. Although we got a fault light, that's not great. But if I hit ready, the ready light comes on. I don't know. Is it a fault because we don't have paper in it? Is it a fault because it's not hooked up to the computer? Or is it a fault because we have something more sinister going on in deeper within? I don't know, but two of those are easy to rectify. We can throw some paper in it, hook it up to a computer, and see what's going on with that. If we still get the fault, then we know that there's something else going on and I didn't get an easy win. I found the manual on BitSavers. BitSavers to the rescue yet again. Al, you are constantly saving my skin, thank you. But in the manual, it turns out that the fault light comes on and stays on when it's out of paper. So that's why we were getting the red fault light. Now, if I just turn it on now, we can see we get power, ready, no fault light. We are good to go. But it also said in the manual that the LA50 has a self-test, and we hold form feed here, turn the power on, then remove form feed. Yeah! It's printing off the paper. I've got the paper totally misaligned. But, oh, that's awesome. We can also see it didn't feed quite right here at the bottom, but that new ribbon looks absolutely stellar, and it's printing. So now we just need to get it to print from a computer, but oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. Okay, we know the printer prints on its self-test thing. We still have a slick spot in the platen, but that's future David's problem. I want to see if I can get it to print from the DEC Rainbow here. So I've got the Rainbow on and running, and I made a little text file here called usagi.txt. If we just do type usagi.txt, it should show us what's in that. And this is the text that's in there. This is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned the whole world. Anyways, hopefully it should print that out. So we're just going to use the DOS print command, and we'll do usagi.txt, hit enter. The name of list device is PRN. I believe that is correct for the default printer port on this. It printed, but not nearly enough. If I look at it here, yeah, it just printed all question marks. That's, boy, that's not right. That might be a baud rate problem between the two. This is a serial printer, and it should be sending serial data across. But if we're sending it at the wrong speed or with the wrong parity settings or bit settings, we could end up with something that looks like this that's all question marks. The baud rate is set by the dip switch SW2 here, switch 2, and the baud rate, according to the manual, is on switches SW2-1 through -3. And all three of those should be open for the factory setting, which should give us 4800 baud. And so if I think I can peel this little plastic piece out of the way here. And if I look at 1, 2, and 3, they aren't all open. As a matter of fact, only 1 is opened. 2 and 3 are closed, which would give us 1200 baud. I have no idea why this would have been set to 1200 baud, but we'll go ahead and change it back to the factory setting of 4800 here. So we'll put 1, 2, and 3 down like that. On the Rainbow here, we just press the setup key on the keyboard and we get to this screen, which gives us a lot of options of things to change here. That's tabs, but I think if we go next screen, we can get to setting some parameters. So the modem is defaulting to 2400 there, but here we go. Printer is set to 8N and 4800 baud. So I have not reset this machine. It defaulted to 4800 8N, and the printer itself was at like 1200 baud, and I checked the dip switches and they weren't at 8N. 8N is the factory setting, but they were not at that. They were something else. I forgot what they were, but that would have absolutely been sending the wrong stuff. So let's exit out of this and give it one more try. We were definitely at the wrong bit rate before, but we should be set up correctly now. Let's do a print usagi.txt. That's much more promising. Yes. Look at that. This is the story of a girl. It printed perfectly. It was just a baud setting. Of course, now we've got our fault light on because we're out of paper, but that is a fully working LA50 printer, successfully connected up to our DEC Rainbow here and printing stuff beautifully. That is awesome. That's the win I needed. There are a couple of interesting things I learned while doing this, particularly about the DEC Rainbow here. And on the back, there are two ports. There's a COM port and a printer port. And this being a serial printer, initially I thought I needed to plug it into the COM port because, you know, COM being for RS-232 serial communication. But doing that yielded absolutely nothing. If I try to do the print command with COM 1, 2, 3, or 4, or even COM 0, absolutely nothing, doesn't work at all. The printer has to be plugged into the printer port. And I thought that was strange because I thought that the printer port was a parallel port because it is a female plug while the COM port is a male plug. It seemed really strange for both of those to be serial but have different orientations set up on them. But turns out that the printer plug is a dedicated serial port specifically for a serial printer. The Rainbow does not have a parallel port on it. So I had to do some digging to find the right cable because all of my RS-232 cables wouldn't plug into either of those correctly. So once I got the cable figured out and I was able to get it plugged into the proper port on the back, it did spring into life. And man, it's so cool to finally have a printer working on this thing. And to prove that it actually works, if I just reach around and hit return here, there we go, printing away like crazy. Absolutely perfect prints. I went through and cleaned the platen just with a little bit of water and a rag, and it works flawlessly now. Now, this printer can indeed print on single page. It actually has a setting right here for it that clamps that single page to the platen, but ultimately this printer is meant to be used with tractor feed paper, and there are tractor feeds right up underneath here anyways. And so the paper feeds in through this open slot in the back, it prints and pushes it back out towards the back. But I don't have any tractor feed paper in 8.5-inch width. All the tractor feed paper I have is for the big boy printer over there, and that's 14-inch width. So the next time that I go into town, I'll hit up the office supply store and see if I can find some 8.5-inch width tractor feed paper, and then we can get this thing set up with a proper infinite loop of paper so we can just print whenever our heart desires. And then the final thing that I really need to do with this is I need to find a good place to put it. Right now I have it sitting on the shelf right above the IBM Selectric over there, but the Data 620 is now sitting in between the DEC Rainbow and PDP-11 kit and the printer, and that seems a little strange to me. So I might move the printer to its own dedicated shelf above the PDP-11. I don't really know yet. We'll do a little bit of room rearranging and see how I like how that looks. But for now, I am extremely excited that this printer is up and going, and it's taken me a day and a half to film all this, and the bunny is definitely doing a little better. She's eating better for certain, although she's not back up to where she is. But it sounds like the winds are starting to come a little bit. Even the two little ones are starting to gain a little bit of weight. So here's to looking forward to a much more excellent weekend than the past week has been, and hopefully things keep looking up both for me and for you guys. So I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode.